Alcatraz Island. The name itself conjures images of cold, unforgiving stone and churning, dangerous waters. Long before it became synonymous with America's most notorious prison, Alcatraz was a place of isolation. The island sits alone in the middle of San Francisco Bay. Its first known inhabitants were Native Americans. They called it Evil Island and believed it was inhabited by malevolent spirits. In the 1850s, the island took on a new role. The gold rush brought a surge of people to the area. Alcatraz, with its strategic location, was the perfect spot for a military fort. Massive guns were installed. They were meant to protect the burgeoning city of San Francisco. The island also became a military prison. This was its first taste of housing the nation's criminals. But the fort's formidable defences were never truly tested in battle. By the early 20th century, Alcatraz was deemed obsolete for modern warfare. The military presence dwindled, but the island's story was far from over. It was about to enter its most infamous chapter. The ghosts of Alcatraz were ready for company. In today's episode, we will be looking into the ghosts of Alcatraz Island. The year was 1934. America was in the grip of the Great Depression. Crime was rampant. A new breed of criminal emerged, ruthless gangsters. They terrorized cities with their violence. The existing prisons were no match for them. A new kind of penitentiary was needed, one for the worst of the worst. Alcatraz, with its natural isolation and reputation for harshness, was the ideal location. The old military prison was transformed into a maximum security fortress. Every window was fitted with iron bars. Guard towers stood watch around the clock. New cell blocks were built, designed to be inescapable. The most dangerous criminals in America were sent to the Rock. Alcatraz was more than just a prison. It was a symbol. It was a warning to the criminal underworld. Break the law and you could end up on this desolate rock. Cut off from society, surrounded by the cold waters of the bay and haunted by whispers of something more sinister. The roster of Alcatraz inmates reads like a who's who of organized crime. Al Capone, the notorious Chicago gangster, spent 4.5 years on the Rock. His empire of bootlegging and violence crumbled while confined to a small cell. George Machine Gun Kelly, a notorious kidnapper, found his tough guy persona challenged by the harsh realities of Alcatraz. Alvin Creepy Karpis, public enemy number one after John Dillinger's death, spent the longest time of any inmate on Alcatraz, 26 years. He later wrote a book about his time on the island, describing the silence as oppressive and the atmosphere as heavy. Robert Stroud, the birdman of Alcatraz, earned his nickname not for any avian companions on the island, but for his extensive study of birds while incarcerated in other prisons. He was forbidden from keeping birds on Alcatraz. These infamous criminals brought their violent pasts with them to the Rock. Many believe that the evil these men inflicted on the world outside followed them to Alcatraz. It lingered long after they were gone. Within the walls of Alcatraz, certain locations were whispered about with a particular sense of dread. One such place was cell 14D. This small cold cell was located on the bottom tier of D block. It was colder than the others, even in the summer. Guards and inmates alike reported feeling uneasy near it. The legend of cell 14D is chilling. A prisoner screamed for hours about a creature with glowing eyes. By morning, the prisoner was dead. His face was contorted in terror. Cell 14D remains a chilling reminder of the darkness that permeates Alcatraz. A, B and C blocks were the prison's most haunted wings. These cell blocks housed some of Alcatraz's most notorious inmates. Guards reported hearing chains dragging and disembodied whispers. Some claimed to see shadowy figures darting between cells. The ghost of an inmate stabbed in the shower room haunts B block. Visitors often feel an icy chill and the sensation of being watched. The air is thick with history, violence and despair. The story of the Butcher is one of Alcatraz's most enduring and unsettling tales. It blends documented history with chilling legend. The story centers around the prison industries where inmates worked in the laundry, the kitchen, or making clothes and furniture. In 1936, 2 inmates escaped from the industries area. They were never seen alive again. Their bodies were never found. One theory is that the escapees drowned in the frigid waters of the bay. But another, more sinister explanation took root. Rumor had it that a fellow inmate, a hulking man known for his violent temper, had helped the 2 men escape. He then murdered them and disposed of their bodies. This man, whose true identity remains a mystery, became known as the Butcher of Alcatraz. Whether the Butcher was a real person or a figment of prison lore is debatable. But what is certain is that the story added another layer of fear and unease to Alcatraz's already oppressive atmosphere. The Alcatraz lighthouse stands tall on the island's highest point. For years it guided ships safely through the treacherous waters of San Francisco Bay. But the lighthouse is also said to be haunted. Its first keeper, a man named George, met a tragic end. He was crushed to death by a heavy door during a storm. Ever since, his presence has been felt by those who dare to climb the lighthouse stairs. Visitors and park rangers have reported hearing the mournful sound of a foghorn coming from the lighthouse, even on clear, calm nights. Others claim to have seen the ghostly apparition of a man in a raincoat standing near the top of the lighthouse. He vanishes into thin air when approached. The lighthouse, once a beacon of hope and safety, has become another chilling reminder of the island's dark past. Some say George, the former keeper, still walks the tower. He watches over the island, unable to escape his post even in death. The chilling tales of Alcatraz do not end with George the lighthouse keeper. The island is said to be haunted by numerous other restless spirits. One of the most infamous ghosts is that of Al Capone, the notorious gangster who served time on the Rock. Capone, once a powerful and feared figure, reportedly spent his final days in Alcatraz, plagued by paranoia and illness. Some say his spirit remains trapped within the prison walls. Visitors have claimed to hear the faint strumming of a banjo, Capone's favorite instrument, echoing through the corridors of the prison. Another ghostly figure often reported is that of a former inmate known only as the Butcher. Convicted of a gruesome crime, he was brutally murdered by fellow prisoners in the laundry room. His disfigured apparition is said to appear, his presence marked by the sudden drop in temperature and the metallic scent of blood. Perhaps the most unsettling stories come from the infamous D Block, also known as the Hole. This area housed the most dangerous and unruly prisoners, often subjected to extreme isolation and darkness. Many inmates claim to hear whispers and see shadowy figures while confined in the hole. Even today, visitors report a feeling of dread and unease when they step into these cells. The spirits of Alcatraz are not limited to its infamous inmates. Guards and staff who once worked on the island have also been seen and heard. The echoes of their footsteps, their voices calling out orders, and the clanging of cell doors continue to reverberate through the empty halls. Alcatraz, a place of suffering and despair, seems to hold onto the souls of those who lived and died within its confines. The ghosts of Alcatraz serve as a haunting reminder of its dark and violent history, a history that continues to captivate and terrify those who visit the island. Today, Alcatraz is no longer a prison. It is a national park, a popular tourist destination, and a magnet for paranormal investigators. The island's dark history and numerous ghost stories have made it a prime location for those hoping to catch a glimpse of the supernatural. Countless paranormal investigations have been conducted on Alcatraz. Many have yielded strange and unexplained results. Electronic voice phenomena, or EVPs, have been recorded in the cell blocks. Whispers, moans, and even full sentences seemingly spoken by unseen entities. Cameras have captured strange orbs of light and unexplained shadows moving in the darkness. Visitors and park rangers alike continue to report feeling cold spots, hearing footsteps behind them, and experiencing the overwhelming sensation of being watched. While skeptics argue that these phenomena can be explained away as tricks of the light, audio distortions, or simply overactive imaginations, believers point to the sheer volume of paranormal activity reported on Alcatraz. Is the island truly haunted by the spirits of its violent past? Or is it the power of suggestion, fueled by the island's dark history, that leads people to experience the unexplainable? The answer, like the island itself, remains shrouded in mystery.